People, deluded, I'm back again. Yeah, man. Don't know if this vid's gonna come out before or after, so just to give you a lot of whereabouts of when I'm doing this vid, it's on the eve of us playing against Crystal Palace. It's Sunday morning. I've had my cornmeal porridge again. I had it on Saturday, and I thought, you know what, let me make some more vids, man. Like, pass the time, if nothing more. But Cohen Bramall and Ben Sheaf, now they're two young players that I like a lot. Well, maybe not. Let me not lie. Maybe not. I don't really have any strong feelings on Cohen Bramall, although I like an underdog story. I rate the fact he went from working in the factory to chasing his dream of being a footballer, and he's at Arsenal now. And while he might not make it here, it shows what happens when you chase your dream. He was on the non-league circuit for a while. When you hear stories like he used all his days off to go on trials and things like that, and he's been through many trials and tribulations, probably thinking, is this football team going to work for him? And now to be at one of the top 6 clubs, even if it does look like it's going to come to an end, he's done well. And he's got Birmingham on his CV, whether it worked out on loan there already. He's got Arsenal, so he'll have a career in the game now. Both of these young players, I'd be considering, you could use, seeing players have been, how do I put this? I've seen players step ahead of them in terms of the pecking order, more so to the first team. So if I was them two, on one hand, you can use it as motivation, but on the other hand, you're getting, both are at that age where they're young enough to where they don't need to be the finished article, but they need to develop as players, and you can only do so much in under 23 level, and until it becomes a trap. Ben Sheaf, he's 20 years of age, 21 years of age. Wenger rated him highly. Last year, he finally made his debut in Europa League, and he was making inroads. That follows when did he make his debut before that? I'm so sure he played against Sheffield United or Sheffield Wednesday a couple of years ago as well. So he's someone that is liked a lot. He's someone that I've got a lot of time for. I believe he could become a utility man at this club, purely because I think he can play right back, centre half, and in midfield. If he was to develop and get that, I'm sure he would take that. But his problem is, he's by trade, at least when he came up from West Ham, and that he was a central midfielder converted into a centre half. He's a very good defender and midfielder. He's technically excellent. He's a very cultured player, and I think he will have a career. The problem is, at any top 6 club, specifically at Arsenal, specifically to these positions, he's stuck in a sea of other options. You look at centre-half, there's a lot of question marks over centre-half at first-team level and other young players, much less Ben Sheaf. So let's put it into perspective. Koscielny's returned to full training, whether he has a long-term future here or not. The same goes for Mustafi. Obviously, Socrates has just arrived to the club. That's free. You've got Mavropanos, you've got Holding, Chambers is on loan. I'm so sure I'm missing out someone. So there's about 6 or 7. And obviously, Medley was on the bench. He didn't make his debut, but he was on the bench in our last Premier League game. So he's leapt ahead of him in training or whatever. He's showing Unai Emery something in training with the first team or week in, week out to show, okay, cool, maybe if something happens, I can lean on you. And Medley's 18, 19, and Sheaf is 20, turning 21 next February, I believe. So you need to kind of consider your future, or you would forgive him for thinking, oh, cool, what's going to happen here? It's a new manager. He undoubtedly knows about me because of the analysis he does. But is it going to happen for me here? Centre-half, there's a lot of options. Central midfield, not so much. You could make a case for him to blow there, but you've obviously got Maitland-Niles. Willock's clearly, whether Willock makes it here or not is another question, but he's clearly ahead of him. You've got a first-team level, El Nene, Ramsey, whose future's up for debate, Xhaka, Torreira, etc. So you can make a case for if he gets a chance and he takes it, cool, but it is what it is. Personally as well, obviously you've also got Bielik as well, who might not even make it here as much as I believe he can and should. You've obviously you can see the sea of talent. Personally as well, I don't feel Stevenage was necessarily the best loan for him. No disrespect to Stevenage or the club, because I guarantee he's learned a lot, but I just feel definitely when it comes to Arsenal and picking loan options, it hasn't quite happened for us. You look at how Chambers is going at Fulham. Obviously, these players need to show it for themselves, but Reece Nelson's doing his thing at Hoffenheim to a degree. Past that, you can't really think of too many positive loan spells that have happened for young players. You're probably looking back off the top of my head. There is examples, obviously, but you're probably looking at Wilshere to Bolton or something along them lines, really, or Chesney to Brentford, really. So yeah, he probably has to consider his future. He's at that age where he needs to play football, and he was on the bench for the under-23s against Swansea, and you saw Matt Smith, someone who's younger than him, get the nod to start in midfield. Matt Smith's a very cultured player as well, so you get why you might need to consider it. And I've already said with Cohen Bramall, I mean, if Xhaka, we know Xhaka, this left back thing, or I like to think it's not going to work for him. If Xhaka is considered, obviously there's experience and these things that go into it, but if Xhaka is considered a better left back option for than you at 22 years of age, and you, despite their both left backs being injured in Monreal and Kola. Obviously, if Maitland-Niles is fit now, but if he was fit at the time, he might have started. So if that's 3 players that could possibly play at fullback that are not available, and you're not being called up, and you're 22 years of age, you didn't come pre-season either, you've got to consider your future. His contract's up this year. Xhaka's playing left back ahead of him. If I'm a young player, 22 years of age, if Unai Emery and these lot rate them, then fair enough. Because again, I'm not at the training session and I don't know these lot's thoughts. I can only comment on what I believe. If I put myself in his shoes as a 22-year-old fullback, away from it being great that I'm at Arsenal now, if I'm seeing this ahead of me, then I'd never stop trying, never stop believing, and this goes for Sheaf as well. Never keep trying, use it to motivate you, but you'd have to consider, okay, maybe my future doesn't lie here, or I'm not going to make it here to a degree. And then obviously when you consider that he went to Birmingham, like Jenkinson, both of them didn't really have that much of a success there. Personally, I rate Cohen, and it shows his ability if he's gone from essentially non-league straight on loan to the Championship, whether it worked out or not. So maybe he could get a move. There's also even talk of giving Monreal a new deal because his contract technically runs up in 2019, I believe, an extra year. Unai Emery said that. So you really have to consider your future, to be honest with you. So yeah, off topic as well, people. Maitland-Niles in that same game against Swansea completed 60-odd minutes. I believe he was playing on the right wing, although he did drift inside central midfield positions at times. It doesn't matter where he played. The main thing is that he got minutes. He's been in training for 10 days as well, or just over that at this period now. Obviously, he missed 2 months of the season after a good pre-season, a new contract to show faith with Unai Emery, and we're keen to see how he adapts to being fully fit again, and hopefully plays against Blackpool, because yeah, we need him, man, and we wanted to see what he could do in central midfield this season. So yeah, man, happy to see that he's back and playing, and maybe the game on Wednesday against Blackpool I said Blackburn earlier, sorry, Blackpool comes a bit too early for him to play, I don't know, but fingers crossed, people. But as for now, let me get out of your hair, man. People deluded. Comment, subscribe, and do the rest if you wish.